a link there, and I can see if I can actually, let's see, can I send it to everybody from here? Or actually, if maybe Mary or Joe from my email from earlier, if you want to post the link that I had sent and put that in the chat for us.
I'll take care of that.
Awesome, thank you. Just in case anybody wants to follow along, sometimes I know it's easier for you to follow that way. So there's our contact information. We'll have that there at the end again if there's any questions. All right, so make sure I am on here. All right, so why is this not going? My OneNote is being funky, of course, today. There we go. All right, so it sometimes likes to, get delayed a little bit. So we just wanted to do a basic brief review of OneNote and its uses, especially if there's anybody who was not with us in December. And then we want to spend most of the session today working in small group breakout rooms, continuing the investigation of the usage of OneNote and answer any specific questions you have and guide you through some of those other steps that we can continue from last time. And then we want to do a time at the end where we have everybody share out what they've been working on since the last session, how it's going, some things that have worked and not worked, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So taking a look just as the refresher of why the three of us in particular really like using OneNote, particularly in this virtual world we're now teaching in, even more so than what the three of us have used it previously. But we hope that everybody will continue using OneNote and realize its fantastic use, even when we go back to normal teaching as we go. So remember, it replaces the chalkboard or whiteboard or document camera to allow you to write, add notes, add screenshots. And what's nice is it will auto save. It can be greatly accessible for students with those accommodations, and absent students can retrieve those because you can set up a link right in your learning management system so that students can access it at any time they have the correct notes then. You can always upload parts of your notes. You can do screenshots. You can set different images or calculator pieces so that you can build those right in, right on the notes, fill them in, so you don't have to do all of the written material as well. So you can take previously built lessons and import them in. Again, add that link to have students be able to view.
I'd also like to add in one thing I started doing this semester is if you have a link to a YouTube video or any other video, whether it's yours or someone else's, you can embed the link right into OneNote as well. So if you're teaching your recording or anything like that, you can always add in extra resources.
Right, and that's a great point to make, Joe, because it's nice because if you plan ahead and you plan out your whole lesson, then you embed those links right into the lesson, so you don't have to try to find them in the middle of the lesson. They're already built in, and again, then students who maybe missed that class can access them as well. You have the opportunity, if you have a tablet or a writable device, you can change colors and highlighters and do those things really easily, and add student work to help, especially if you're doing right now your office hours or student help hours where you're working with students virtually. Nice to be able to pull in a question that they've sent you and work through those problems with them. And again, adding screenshots and lots of different things that you can use to help as you go. So I left these links to some of the previous information that was there, just in case you've lost track of them. And there's some more information there later. So before we get too far into things, I'd just like to have everybody in the chat decide which room sounds like it's best suited for you for today. So room 1 are those of you who really feel like you're still super new to this. Maybe you came to the December workshop but really haven't tried OneNote yet, or anybody who is brand new to OneNote and didn't attend the December workshop. Room 2, if you consider yourself still new to the process, but maybe you're starting using it. You've played around with some things since December. And then room 3 would be the intermediate OneNote users, or those of you who have had more experience with it. And sorry for my typo there. So if you want to enter the room choice right now in the chat, Dan's going to help us out and set those up later there for us.
Right. Just to clarify, Erin, we're not launching into the breakout rooms right now, right?
Right. No, you're just letting us know which room sounds best for you so that we can have them later on.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Has everybody got their room choice put in? Okay. All right, perfect. Let me get there. So a few other helpful resources that I wanted to add in. These are some additional things that I found in the meantime from the first session through now. Just some other things to link you through to go through later. We're not going to go through these specifically, but we really wanted to be able to leave everybody with some added resources so that you don't have to do too much digging yourself. So one of the things that was posted that was awesome was this playlist. It brings you to really a breakdown of each type of thing. So a lot of the stuff that your facilitator will help guide you through during the breakout room sessions today, it'll go through those again. So just in case you forget later, really individual types of tasks in this first link, this playlist. And then the other ones are kind of those just general ones. And Joe has put together for us a handout to explain removing the OneNote annotations, because a lot of us use similar lessons from semester to semester or class to class. And instead of having to rebuild an entire OneNote notebook every semester for lessons that you haven't changed, this handout will explain and show you with screenshots step by step how to remove any of the annotations that you've written in on those lessons so that you can reuse all of the work you did in previous semesters. So again, some extra help there as you go. Another thing that came up in the initial registration was some questions about OneNote class notebook. And some schools have that available to them and wanted to know how that's different. How is the OneNote class notebook different from what we've showed as just the general OneNote notebooks? And the biggest difference is that you create within this class notebook different spaces where you would have your instructor space and the students have collaboration space. The students can submit work and different things like that. And these can be embedded, I know, in Microsoft Teams because it's a Microsoft program as well. OneNote class notebook can be linked directly there. And so for those of you who are interested in finding out more about that, Mary, Joe, and I, unfortunately, we aren't active users of this class notebook, but in a quick little research, I pulled together some resources that I hope will help folks go through some of these things and be able to watch and see what the availability is. And again, just some extra things that you can investigate as you go through your continued work with learning about OneNote. So before we enter into breakout rooms, are there any questions popping up in the chat or anything that Mary or Joe need to add? Any questions popped up in the chat that we know of?
Justin was the only one to go to 2, but I think that's okay. You'll be able to answer. Erin, you're doing room 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's fine. And then Mary is in room 3. So those of you who along with Joe. She can help you with that OneNote classroom, which is
Oh,
pretty nice.
perfect.
And then
Excellent.
like there's about 4 of you that will be joining me in room 1. So did
Excellent.
anybody
And
not
again,
pick Dan?
There are a couple folks who haven't picked, but I have enabled it so that you can move yourself, but it sort of depends on what version of Zoom you're running. If you are recently updated, you'll be able to move yourself into a room. But otherwise, I think we are all set. I'll go ahead and open up those rooms.
Okay. And we'll come back at about 1/4 after.
yeah, lots of time.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Hi, Justin.
Hello. So technically it's just me, but I'm actually recording this. I think there's supposed to be other Plattsburgh people who are supposed to be here, but when I was trying to get to the link, our Google Mail was acting up. So it's possible that there are other people who were trying to get here but couldn't find the link because their email was shut off. So I'm recording this in case they ask about it.
Okay. Well, and hopefully if they find it later, I think that Mark and Dan are staying in the main Zoom room. So if they do, if you can somehow get them the message that they can still definitely join, they will get them sent out to a breakout room.
Okay.
Which would be great. Awesome. So, well, I'm glad you were able to come today. I know it's been a crazy start to the semester for us. So
yes, which is actually why I haven't done much with OneNote. I did a couple of things immediately after the first presentation, but then a bunch of other.
So you were there in December?
Right. Yes. Otherwise,
Excellent.
I'd be in breakout room 1, but I haven't had a chance to really kick the tires and get things going. I did see that there's a lot of OneNote for typical for pathways. I'm teaching the 106. I'm giving the wrong name. I'm teaching the virtual co-rec right now, and it looks like there isn't really a ton of OneNote going on in that, but it also looks like it's still something that is going to be in pathways in other contexts. Plus, it's something I could absolutely use in general. So
absolutely. And that's the thing is it's a great application just to use really in your just general teaching, whether it's a pathways class or if it's a co-rec class or if it's any of your other courses you're teaching.
Right. So again, it looks like some of the main advantages are that you can add most things to it, and it's relatively easy to work with. I know we're going to talk about the annotations later that you can add and remove. So I won't ask about that since we're all going to see that eventually anyway.
Sure.
I guess I will ask. So you said you could link. You can link many forms of documents. You can link YouTube videos, and you can link pictures. I'm guessing you can link websites too.
Absolutely.
What happens if it's attached to a linked website and the website goes down? Does it happen to save an archived page, or is it just going to say a 404 message?
I'm pretty sure it would just give you that kind of link no longer exists, whatever kind of page.
And just I guess to make sure I'm on the same page here, you said there was the opportunity for students to basically edit as well.
So it depends on how things are set up with the class notebook, like that piece, which I don't use. There is an area where students could collaborate and submit work, things like that. I share a link in my Blackboard course where it's just a view only link. So the students can't go in and erase my notes or change their notes. So what's good is I set that link up at the start of the semester and I don't have to touch it. Every update I make is automatically synced to that notebook. So I want the students to take the responsibility to catch up on things they missed if they were absent. And that being there allows them to see exactly what I wrote on my notebook page. So I know they're going to get the correct information. And it's also always there for them. So it's up to them to actually go there and see what they missed. And again, it requires no extra work for my part to post notes every day and whatever else. And I really like that semester to semester, I actually go back, because just depending on the group of students I have and the discussion you have, especially like in the quant weight classes, or stat weight classes, you have those groups sharing out their ideas. And I always take the feedback from the students and use that sometimes to make changes to my lessons for the next semester.
Right.
So if I have all of that information logged, I can look back and update those changes from semester to semester.
I see, because that's kind of where I was going to go with that. With the Pathways Co-Rec virtual that I'm running right now, there are routinely subgroups that students break into for a discussion. I was thinking, after it was mentioned, I was wondering whether it would be possible, basically, without using that classroom thing, because the classroom thing seems like it's up to do this, but I was wondering without it, whether I could basically make basically 3 copies of the same student editable OneNotes file, and have each subgroup basically edit their own, so that would be custom tailored towards what they had discussed.
Sure. So you could share that OneNote file with the group and have it be an editable file versus a view only. So I always just do it from the teacher standpoint, but I use different tools when my students are working in groups, and then they can share that information back to me. So do you use Zoom, or what platform do you use for the virtual classroom?
The virtual classroom seems to automatically start Zoom. We're going through Realize It.
Okay.
So, and they seem to be doing the heavy lifting there. So for the when the students sign up to do the collaboration part of the lesson, they are put into Zoom situations. But we still have web pages here that we use directly at the university. I was thinking if it would be helpful to them to present the material in a OneNote way, and let each subgroup choose to write on their own copy in any way that they want, based on what comes up to them in discussion.
Sure. So a couple of thoughts on that. Using Zoom, I know there's the whiteboard option where they can collaborate in the group. Setting them up a OneNote, absolutely. Or if it's easier for them, because I'm not sure if all of the students would have the ability to be able to write in if they don't have a writable device, what they could do, they would still have those problem sets on paper potentially, right? Or they would write out their work in their discussion notes. So one thing that I've done is, if students need help, or they're working together and collaborating, or you want them to kind of put their thoughts together, if you have that kind of group recorder to share out to the full class, what you might do is have them take a picture of their work, and they can either email it to you, or I use Remind as an app to have them send me that stuff too. So I can pull that right up and then kind of keep that piece for them. They can work through that, work that collaboration, and their group can send the work. And then you, as the instructor within the class OneNote that's posted, could have those pages where you have the student work and those different group solutions from their pictures that they sent you, and you could just post them into the class OneNote.
Okay.
As another option. That might be easier, instead of students trying to write with a mouse or type in their math explanation. So that's another thought, because then you, as the instructor, could go back in, talk about those, mark those up, annotate them, however would work best. But then the students would be able to then access through that view only file the different group solutions.
Okay.
So just a thought on how that might work. I know the the virtual classrooms are definitely have their own set of challenges for sure. So just different student work, student feedback. I'll have them send me their stuff, and I'll mark them up, say, oh, you dropped your sign, you copied down the wrong number, whatever, and I can send them back. So that piece works really well. So do you remember which facilitators group you were in for the first session? Was it, I don't think you were in my group, were you?
You shouldn't have been. No, I would have been in the completely intro section.
Okay, so maybe Mary or Heather?
I guess, unfortunately, I don't remember who it was off the top
Don't
of my
remember.
head.
Okay.
It was too
So
long ago.
it's sure. So since it's just you in here today here, let's see. I just wanted to be able to give you the opportunity to go through, this is, let's see, I've got just some different things that you might want to try yourself too.
Okay.
And I'm happy to guide you through any of these ideas. Let me just clean up my list from last time here. And I've got some kind of thoughts on things, of some things that might lead you to things you might want to think about that might be of interest, and then we can just go through those. So I've got here, this was kind of our task list that we did during the last session too. So we can redo any of these that you might need to review again, or I can go through any of these that you might be interested in looking at. So opening OneNote, creating the notebook, setting page sizes, backgrounds.
I don't think we made it to the end of the list. I
Oh,
think we were
sure,
short
my
on
group
time.
didn't either.
Yeah, so can we go to step 13, create a homework help page within units and modules?
Sure. All right, so I actually can show you what I've done with my students just as an idea. So I
Yes.
just created a specific notebook that's just called Student Help.
Okay.
But again, in general, if this is something you'd rather have as for all of your students to access, then it's good to just build right into the notebook for that class, because then some of the other students may be working on those same types of problems and may want help on that same thing, and then they can see what they did. So, you know, one of my students was working on just different operations with fractions. This one was actually a good one. So I had a student ask for help during my help hours. This is just for my intermediate algebra class. And so I was able to just take the homework question he had worked on, and this was a homework question that he had worked through but got pieces wrong. So I took just the screen capture of the graph itself and then worked through the problem pieces with him on a couple of different ideas, and we worked through a bunch of different questions. And I always put the student name on the side or as the title, only to help myself out, because this is one that I'm working with them, but it might be something that for yours, you might put which module or which problem it might be, so that any student that went in could go there and say, oh, I know that, you know, my instructor was helping this person, and here's something I can look at for help. So I had a student later in the week asking for help on similar types of problems. So I was able to use what I had already had and just redid my discussion with a different student. So what you might want to do is within the notebook, so say you have your actual class notebook, this is where you have your different modules. And again, you're going to set these up however works best for you. So
right. That's just setting up categories.
Right. So you could set it up as in a couple of different ways. So if you had, say, your tab that was module 1, module 2, module 3, whatever, you might do, you know, module 1 help, right? Or help, whatever you want to call it. And so then the students would know, because again, if this is in the class notebook that's shared out into the LMS so that they can see the worked out solutions, when if you just call it that tab, and if you design it to go with, okay, you've got the notes on one section and you've got the help on the other section, but have it kind of named similarly, what you might want to do, and again, you could just do it as a running thing, but what might work is as you go through to just kind of have the, call that page what it is, right? So what would be something a student might ask you to help them through? How would they be described? What would they, like on a realize it homework or a?
Well, for the Pathways Correct Virtual, they've been asking about the preparation part.
Okay.
So that's what you're asking, right? What type of thing they could ask about?
Yeah, so I would say like my students would say, I'm on section, I'm in unit 1, but I'm on section, I don't know, 35.2, whatever, homework. So just as a way for a student who might have a similar question, if they see that name of it, that they would know to go here.
Okay.
So I don't know how the, because I'm not teaching the Pathways courses currently, so I don't remember how each homework is labeled to know, to kind of give a student a reference for that.
Okay. We're just coming up with a name for it. So why don't we just call it preparation N.2?
Perfect. So that way, depending on how the students have their setup and how the view link looks, they would be able to see this as the name of that slide. And then anything you would work with that student on. So if there was a question where you had a diagram, right? Or another piece that you had there that you wanted to pull in to be able to show the student what that would be, you could do a screenshot snippet, paste it in, and then write on it instead of having to type in everything, so that you would have that there. So just as kind of a thought, I guess, again, I'm just going to pull something that I have from one of my other courses here. Let me think what would be a good one to do. See, I'm doing this percent activity. And so the students are working through these problems and they need, this question. Do you remember the shortcut for doing the screenshot?
You mean the snippet?
To do a snippet, yeah.
Not off the top of my head. I typically use full screenshots, but can you remind me what it is?
Sure. Do you have a Mac or a
PC?
PC. All right. So if you hold down Shift Windows S. So Shift Windows S, and it'll gray out your screen.
And you get a rectangle. Okay.
Yeah, and then you just do a click and drag like you would in a PDF where you're just doing that snapshot. And then you would just do your shortcut of your Control V to paste. So I like doing that instead of a full screenshot or a print screen. I just find it comes out clearer, and then I don't have to do that second step of doing a crop of anything.
Yeah, that would be a lot faster.
Yeah, I use this constantly in things. So even if I'm pulling up a student's online homework, I can do the same thing. Pull their question, plop it in here, and then I can always screenshot back to them if I'm doing an individual chat with them and email it back to them so that they can see what I was going over with them. So as you go, if you have a tablet or a writable device, the nice thing is in OneNote, if you have that draw tab open, you can just go ahead and write the work right on there. So if I wanted to do this problem, I can work through it with the student, and then I can just work through and say, whatever discussion I'm having with them and work out the problem. So I've got my X plus, and then I made my mistake. So I'm going to erase it, including the 8% sales tax. So 0.08x, and my total was 1187.20. So I usually run 2 devices when I'm working with a student so that I can write on my tablet.
Right, that was something that came up last time. And actually over the winter break, I did acquire a touchscreen.
Perfect. So I run my virtual class session on a device, or I have my my writable device set to be connected to just a standalone monitor so that I can always view from the student standpoint, and I can have kind of the Zoom classroom running on the monitor, but then I can actually fold out my tablet and more comfortably write versus trying to write on the screen in front of me. So some different things that help, or you know, if somebody has just the writable tablet, it makes it a little bit easier. And then again, you can just write on this. You can use your different colors and, you know, go through everything. But then what's nice is it's saved. So any student that had questions on this preparation endpoint 2 homework, any questions that you've gone over with students, and you could even be more specific on here and say question number whatever, and then every time you get a new question for that within that module, you can just add a new page, and then the student can go to that page that has that same question that they maybe needed help with.
Right.
Does that make sense on there?
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. And then, like I said, if this is just within that shared link, the students would have access to any of that student help stuff that you did with other students. Thoughts on other things?
Yeah,
or anything else?
Let's take a look at 17, handwriting to text math.
Okay, so this isn't something that I personally use a lot, but I'm going to just start a new page here. So if you write neat enough, the idea is that you can write out in, you know, whatever equation. So 3x plus 2 equals 17. If you do the lasso select and select that item, then you should be able to change that to ink to math.
Oh, okay.
All right, so it's right in that draw tab, and you would just do ink to math. And it looks like this is my pie, which is not right. So can I select and correct? Yep. Select, and that's the number 7.
There we go. Okay.
And there we go. So again, it's one of those things, and then it just turns it into what you would see as like in an equation editor or a math type. So that is an option.
Okay, good. That seems pretty direct to work with.
Yeah, and you know, you could even do, if you already had something in there, you could just do a copy paste. If you already had a document with an equation editor type of equation in or from math type, I like having my own handwriting. This is just that extra step that I find is just an extra step where, at least in my own handwriting, I can have it, but it is a great option. And maybe it would be better for a screen reader, but I don't change all of my annotations over to
Well, it still looks like it's a useful feature overall.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got it. Were you able to go over in the last session the idea of creating a view link and posting to share in Blackboard or your LMS?
I don't remember.
Inserting pre-made notes, things like that?
The notes we definitely did. The link, I'm not so sure about. So maybe we should redo that just to be on the safe side.
Sure, sure. All right. So if this is my, you know, whatever notebook, I like doing specifically one for each of my sections because I may have a different discussion, and that way the specific group work goes in there. And the nice part would be, even if you wanted to just do the help in one section, if you're teaching multiples of the same course, you could always just continue to copy that to a different class so that your Tuesday, Thursday section has access to any of the help you gave to the Monday, Wednesday section. So you could always copy those. So to make the link, what you would do is you would just have the notebook open that you wanted and go up to the File tab and go to Share. And then it's got yep, and then get a sharing link, and just be careful which one you want. Sometimes
that's what we were talking about before, a view link versus an edit link.
Exactly. Okay. And then just you create that view link, and then you can just copy that, and you can change the options. Unfortunately, all of my stuff that's set through my college, I can't change the different settings on them, which is frustrating for any time I'm working on something like this where we're working with people from multiple schools. But once I get this link, I can just copy this link, and then I just go into my actual Blackboard course. Do you guys use Blackboard at Plattsburgh? Moodle. Okay, so I'm not familiar with Moodle.
Yeah, but it's still we still have the ability to easily put up links on a course page, so that would still be easy. This probably would be a little bit more direct, in fact, than putting the file directly available for download, actually, especially if it's supposed to be a view link. I wouldn't mind each student having their own personal copy they could personally edit, but
you would have to make a personal.
But the edit link goes back into what we were talking about before. I could make the same file 3 times. I could make 3 different edit links.
Exactly.
And have each subgroup be able to edit their own copy.
Absolutely. And the only thing I would say that might be more challenging from the instructor side is if those groups are going to change.
They will.
Throughout the semester. But if you don't mind that as a way for them to collaborate,
well, each OneNote file that would be open could be for as long as that group is around.
Yep, and then, absolutely.
Because of the way that Moodle works, at least the individual students would still be able to go back and see their previous work, because the links would be personalized this way, as opposed to just saying it's the name of the subgroup, which would change.
Absolutely. So I'm sure your management system set up in whatever way, but for me, I was able to just add a content area and have it as a web page, and then I just created that web link, and so I just had as an menu access area as completed class notes. And so when my students clicked on that link, if I haven't broken that link yet, this was their view link, so what they were able to see. So it's a little different than the setup that I have because it's the web version, but they had their syllabus, and I just had my 3 different units and how I had their notes worked out for each of these units.
Right.
And this was for my statistics co-rec. We don't do Statway, but it was for our own campus designed stats co-rec. So this group this was the co-rec piece. So they had access to all of the notes that we did together in class. And then in their credit bearing stats class, they had those notes as well. And that, like I said, is very easy. I set that up before class even started, and they had access to it at any point, and they could just click through which unit we were in and which lesson we were on, and whatever they needed help with, it was there all the time. So again, that was just going to the kind of file, share, get a sharing link, and then you can just create that sharing link and copy it. And I believe that should be in the first PowerPoint that we had. Actually, it is in this one as well. So
Okay.
this is today is, so if you go to the link, the PDF will be linkable too, but the
I
link to
already
the
downloaded
handout,
that. I expect
oh,
I'll be asked to share that with the rest of the math department.
the group, perfect. So the link to the handout on OneNote, that was a handout that I had made, and those instructions for that process of creating that sharing link are in that handout, just so you have that for later.
Okay.
So that's pretty easy. And yeah, the draw tab, you can set your favorites, so you can set up which things you want to have. And I usually have mine pinned. I don't usually use the full page mode, but I know Joe was telling me a great thing to do so that you don't have all the different toolbars up there is if you customize the ribbon like you would on any other Microsoft application, you can customize the ribbon and actually put in your different favorite pens and then more easily hide everything. So it's just something I haven't gotten around to.
Yeah, I like having options. I'd probably just leave everything on.
Yeah, and that's what I do too. And I like being able to see on the side what I'm working on. It doesn't seem to bother my students. And again, that's part of that personal preference of what you're comfortable with for sure. So other things. And again, it doesn't have to be anything from this list. This is just a kind of starting point.
Now, I'll be honest, I was expecting to be in a group with more people asking questions. I'm sure there were.
I know.
because I hadn't done enough with it. I was hoping more people would be asking about stuff that they tried that they were having difficulty with that I hadn't gotten around to yet.
Right.
So,
well, if there's anything you want to try importing a set of your module notes. Try opening a notebook and creating a setup. And then I can help work you through any of those that you might have trouble with if you want.
Let's see. It's loading.
No worries.
Yeah. All right. So. Here's one. All right, so I found the notebook apparently that I made in December.
Oh, perfect.
And now it's loading. Shouldn't be loading this hard. It's not much in it. Oh, maybe I moved a few things around. Oh, I see what I did with that. Okay. All right, so what should I be trying here?
Totally up to you. If you want to try to import
I guess,
a set of notes or import a link to a video.
I see. I've got a different top ribbon than you do. I'm on the. Hang on, I know how to do this.
So you might be on the web version. And you can, Justin, if you want, I believe that you should have access to share your screen if that would help you. I can stop my screen share. You can share your screen.
It's
up to you.
Let's try. that. So here we are. So
Perfect.
as you can see, the top does not look like yours. Is
Yep.
this
So you're in the app instead of you're in the actual, yeah, the OneNote for Windows 10 versus the actual like downloaded application of OneNote
Oh, I see.
2016.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me close this out.
So they both work very similarly. It's really a personal preference. Some of the folks I work with prefer the other one.
It would be more helpful to me if I was using the one that I was taught to work with. So
Sure. Yeah, and it's Mary Jo and I all prefer the actual downloadable application instead of kind of the web app.
All right, give me a second.
Sure.
I may have that here. There we go. Yes. All right. So yeah, it was just the second one down. So there's a Pathways notebook. Let's share or remove. Okay. No, thank you. Open.
So are you teaching calculus this semester too?
Calc 2, actually, yes.
Nice.
View notebook. There we go. All right. So I should probably start screen sharing again.
Sure.
And there we go. All right. So there's what we were just talking about, including ink to math.
Yes. Perfect.
As you can see, I grabbed a drop-down menu.
Yes.
With some extra stuff in it. So insert a file attachment, I guess. Let's try that.
So that would just create, like you would in an email, it would give the link to be able to open the file. So say you wanted to just put a link to the homework assignment so that students could open that later and have just a kind of the link to the file. If you want to actually insert the notes pages to be able to then annotate, you would want to do the file printout.
Huh. Okay. Well, that's backwards from how I would have guessed, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, right?
Exactly.
And let me just grab something from 326. I've got to have a bunch of those.
And I usually create a new page first, or else it's just going to continue building down that page.
I know how to create new pages. I haven't
Perfect
this just yet.
And you can always undo. If it didn't come out how you wanted it, you can always undo it.
This is not the, oh, there it is. Okay. So there we.
Yeah, so there's an option here.
Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. It's offset because I started at a cursor or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so and you've set your page size specifically?
Yes.
So when I do mine, I just have it as a basic setup because I have my inserted files are going to be the right size anyway. But one thing, and again, this is going to be a personal preference. If say you have a notes packet, right? And I know that the Quantway modules tend to come as a whole big long file. If instead of having to scroll through everything every day and try to figure out where you left off, instead of having it be this running long file of things, I do mine where it inserts each page of the document as a separate page within the OneNote link.
Let's do that then. So as you may have seen, the thing I was trying to attach is, let me just open that up in a Word file right now, just so I have easy access to it. It was
because that way I just rename each page. Instead of page 1, 2, 3, 4, I just call it section whatever continued, so that when I'm going to teach, I know where I left off and I just click to that page. And also for the students, if they missed a day, they can say, oh, I needed to review section 3.2. On the side, they just click section 3.2 instead of having to scroll through the whole document. So all it is it's a setting you just need to change within OneNote. And
okay, well, hang on a second. I want to find a good multi-page thing to do this, and I can't remember which
absolutely.
one. 26. It was one of the projects.
Yeah, and sometimes you might want it to be a running thing. Like today's presentation, I built in PowerPoint and I imported it into OneNote, but instead of clicking through the other pages, I just wanted it to be a scrolling document instead. So you can just change that setting. It's really easy to do.
No, for a fact I had something that had plenty of pages.
Well, even the last one you had, the test that you pulled open was multiple pages.
This one. All right, fine. We'll do this one. That's project 9. All right. So now that I know that's what I'm going for. So here we are in the yellow section. So you said it's a setting I have to change.
Yep. So what you want to go to is File. And then Options way down at the bottom.
That's where a lot of the stuff is. Okay.
You got it. And then if you go down to Advanced and kind of scroll down through there, there should be something about printing. So keep scrolling.
Well, there's linked
down.
notes. That's not it. Okay.
Nope. So keep on going down farther.
Oh,
yeah, down there.
Mouse wheel got
printouts. There we go. So at the printouts, insert
okay, that's the one, right?
Multiple pages. You got it. Perfect.
Insert automatically set inserted file printouts in the background.
So what that does is kind of does what it would do, like if you're layering images and stuff in Word or something, it puts it in the background so you can't move it. So if you don't accidentally click on it and move it that way. So then you'll see how this will pull in differently than the last one.
So let's see, it was project 8? No, it was 9. That's not it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Switch windows somehow. All right. This wasn't quite what I was expecting.
Oh, because this one was only 2 pages, so it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, do I have something which is much longer? One of my summer classes would be ideal for this. Let me see if I can quickly. So where's, open up Word. Most of the 326 folders that you're seeing are PowerPoints. And,
gotcha. And that'll work too. If you have a multiple slide PowerPoint, you can do the same thing. It doesn't have to be a Word or a PDF document. You can do the same thing from a PowerPoint.
Here we go. A midterm. That's going to have a bunch of pages on it for sure.
Perfect.
4. It had 4 pages. I guess because it was online, I didn't have to add a bunch of extra spaces. Okay, so
well, and I don't know if that would, I don't know what OneNote considers long files. I mean, my notes packets that I import are 20, 30 pages usually.
Yeah, and my classes will not be 20, 30 pages.
Sure.
I can promise you that.
But even if you had a PowerPoint that had multiple slides, you could see how it would do that same thing. Okay. If you want to try that.
Oh, here's what I want to do. Let's see. Insert. No, I'm looking in the wrong place. I wanted to insert a new section. Okay, so just go back to, yep, there you go. And if you want to add a new section, see next to where you have yellow section, there's a little plus sign. That would add a new section for you, adding another binder tab. Plenty of colors. I won't run out anytime soon. All right, so. And you can change the colors of those tabs, right? Oh yes, that's why I think the first ones were named red and blue because I wanted to do that. Those are just quickly things I threw in. I mean, there's absolutely. Yeah, see, like yep, section color exactly. And so mine, because I color code my note packets for each unit, I make the tabs go with the color of the unit so that it's a good visual connection for the student. Okay, so let's spreadsheet now. What if I was adding a whole slew of pictures? There we go. That I don't necessarily need to know how to do this, but I definitely have a bunch of folders that would be perfect for this. So let's go with tangent planes. There we go. There we go. Okay, so just put some vertically.
And you know what? That might be because it was selected specifically as a picture versus inserting the file printout.
Good. I'd like it to be different. That way I can switch back and
Designate
forth.
the difference. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
but it is nice that it allows you to multi-select, because I know some applications only allow you to insert one picture at a time. Where you
yeah, that would be a real pain after doing all of this work. Yeah.
Right, right.
Oh, wrong files ended up in the wrong folder, but it doesn't matter. This is just a demonstration model.
Sure, exactly. This is just playing around and seeing how it works.
As I'm sure you're fully well aware, there's plenty of students asking questions about COVID when it was going on, and this is a math class. Yeah. Oh, how are we doing for time? I just realized it's 2 o'clock.
We've still got about 5, just less than 10 minutes, maybe.
Okay, let's try. What is something else I'd want to quickly do? I know how to draw on this history. I don't think I need the history quite so much. Okay, so this all the review options here are like to bring in extra help, like spell checking your work.
Yeah, so it's the same types of options that you would have in the other Microsoft applications. Okay. So a lot of those, and that's what's nice about these, is if you're used to working in Word and Excel, a lot of those same areas that you're used to seeing are going to be there. So those shortcuts are where you set up your own personalization. A lot of those are going to be in OneNote in the same spot, which is really nice.
Okay, I see here they have the option to record audio and video to put it in there, which is fine, but I already have my own software for that. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that I've got an MP4 file. That I want to throw in, possibly something I made to deliberately get around YouTube's monetization and copyright policies, so I can show it to my students directly without it being taken down as a strike. Or more realistically, let's say I have a Zoom class that I'd happen to have a fitting. So let's say I want to insert a video file. How would I do that?
So you could do the file attachment.
I can't record right now because I'm recording this right now.
Sure, and I honestly was doing a little bit of work with looking at this. The recording audio literally is just going to record your voice, so it's not going to record the annotations. In the video, I couldn't find enough information to figure out if you would be able to. I don't think that there's a screen recording piece built in. That video recording is not the same thing as a screen recording. So you would want to use your software just like I was going to say,
unless it was
and just do the screen share.
Okay, so
but you could just do that file attachment. Yep.
Let's try that right now. So I've got plenty of Zoom files and documents.
Yeah, so you have a couple options there, Justin. You had the attachment of the actual file.
Okay.
Or if you wanted it just as a web link, there was on that same insert tab, there was the option of just a link as well. So whatever works for you.
That would require me to upload it to a source, right? It would basically like grab something from YouTube kind of situation. And again, I'm trying to deliberately circumvent that because
I gotcha.
I like using like memes and so forth in class, and in class I can show all the stuff I want to because YouTube isn't looking over my classroom shoulder. They're just, if I put something on YouTube that's using protected music, they'll take offense to that.
I gotcha.
So I can't do that now. I will say that as you can't see because I'm not screen sharing the folder I'm opening, which says that today's Calc 2 class was 305 megabytes long.
Oh, goodness.
So I'm just going to assume that if I try upload right now, it's basically going to stop this part of the question and answer session. But that's what I would do, right? Maybe I should use my editing software to trim that down in size so it doesn't eat up half of a library book just for one classroom worth of stuff. Okay, so I would use that for smaller snippets, like individual bits, snip them in one at a time, perhaps. I think I'll just
Right. And
hit
so
cancel.
ours, we use either Microsoft Stream, or we use Ensemble Anthem.
I'm not familiar with either one of those other than the brand names, which
Yeah, so Ensemble Anthem is something that we have through OCC, but because we use Microsoft Teams to run our classes virtually, if we record them, what's nice is they automatically save. And so the students are in a team, and they would be able to access any recorded lesson immediately from there. But we also have, through those programs, you can get a sharing link from that. So you don't have to worry about downloading the whole file.
okay.
We're able to just access a link. So when I did a flipped classroom with my real-time remote class in the fall for my statistics class, I recorded all of my videos and I posted those links in Blackboard. And what was nice is they didn't have to download those files and eat up their, storage space either. It just linked. They were able to play the video and view the lesson, which was really nice. I
know the system that I currently use. Again, Zoom, you can turn on the ability to simply flat out record. It becomes an MP4. I've been uploading those files to our Moodle pages, which means the students would basically, I'm pretty sure would need to download those because we don't think we have a built-in player for that. With the other side being, once they download it, at least they have it and they can rewind and fast forward and so forth and not worry about buffering speed anymore. It's a trade-off, but again, since I don't know how convenient it would be, especially for, say, human resources, to deal with stuff that I choose to put on YouTube. Again, if all I do is put in like 5 minutes of classical music and YouTube takes offense to that, is SUNY viable? It's liable, and
right.
I can't do that. So
I'm wondering if, I don't know where, do you save all of your stuff to the cloud? Do you have it saved through like Google Drive or OneDrive?
I know that is an option. I know it's an option I choose not to take because I want to be able to have access to it. I've got two portable hard drives, and every month or so, I take all of those recordings and make backups just to be on the safe side. I know a cloud recording therefore doesn't need to eat that, but at the same time, it also means if for whatever reason it's not accessible, then there's nothing I can do about that. I prefer to have access to the materials, and if I swap out computers and so forth, I want to make sure I have access to that. I know that's a personal preference thing too, though. I know you can.
Absolutely. And for some things, like we use OneDrive, and so I can access it on any of my devices, which is really nice. But anything that's saved to my OCC OneDrive, I can't share to non-OCC.
Right. You already said that those things were limited. Yeah.
Yeah. So I also have my Google Drive. So say the link to the PDF printout of our PowerPoint from today. I'm wondering if you just have, even just for things like the videos, if you have a Google Drive because you can create that view only link and then just paste that link in your Moodle so that maybe then the students won't have to download the entire file. Just as an option. I'm not sure how that would work.
That makes a lot of sense. It basically turns downloading one file into downloading a bunch of stuff. See, the difficulty I'm wrestling with is that many of our, especially local students, have limited bandwidth.
Absolutely.
And to be fair, based again on my own personal experiences with things like YouTube, I have been going under the assumption that having them download the file once and then having access to the file indefinitely might be better off overall for them, especially if if they said, oh, I had to step out of the room for 5 minutes and it was at 1:35. For them to jump straight ahead, once it's downloaded, they can do that instantly and not have to worry about that.
And that makes sense, given if there's bandwidth issues and internet access issues, then that totally makes sense for your students. Absolutely.
But in terms of OneNote here, what I was thinking of doing was maybe having like quick 1 to 3 minute descriptions of individual parts.
Sure.
with much smaller videos. I don't think those would need a separate player for those if there's going to be a couple of those. Those I might try to embed. But like you said, it's personal preference. If that turns out to be a real chore to do, then yes, maybe doing it on some form of accessible Google Drive like situation with a read-only link wouldn't be
Right,
horrible.
and you should be able to embed those right in too,
Right.
which is nice. So you've
Yeah.
got lots of options. You can create them as a link, or you can embed them right in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, or
again, there's lots of flexibility.
yeah, or I could simply split the difference. I could choose to make little instructional bits, again, like on YouTube, for example, and make sure those have absolutely nothing wrong with them whatsoever, and put all
Right.
the other stuff just directly into the file where I say, like, it's like that one part from Pirates of the Caribbean, kind of,
Right,
or
I
whatever,
know.
or whatever else I
Where
do.
we have to watch what we say and do, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I know we're going to be heading back soon, but
Yes,
as we go through things, if you have questions as you're playing around with things, don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
glad I'm
because
recording this because again, it doesn't have to be me who wanted to ask this
perfect.
question. This has to be one of my colleagues. All right, so yeah, I'm out of stuff to ask. So
Perfect. Well,
oh,
and they're going to be pulling us
oh,
back in a minute anyway.
I see
So
it right now. So I just like leave the
we
breakout.
can leave the room and head back. But I hope that helped you, Justin, at least a little bit.
It certainly did. Thank you so much for your time.
Perfect. No worries.
How do I? Oh dear. I guess I'll be pulled back shortly. Shit, I fucked it up.
I know for me, it was nice to have more time today.
Is Aaron,
Last
is
time.
Joe back yet, Aaron?
No.
All right,
I don't
Deborah
think
has a problem that I couldn't solve. So can Deborah share her screen and see if you can fix it really
Oh.
quick?
Sure. Let me stop my share. Oh,
Okay.
maybe. Hold on.
So she imported a PDF that was a PowerPoint. So she took the PowerPoint, turned it into a PDF, and it comes in sideways. And we can't rotate it.
Well, that's interesting because I did a PowerPoint and imported it, and you guys saw what
Exactly.
you
So
saw.
Deborah, share your screen and show her what it looks like. There it is.
So we all just turn our heads and
So we did it after we resized the paper. And I didn't know if that had something to do with it. So we changed portrait and landscape and it didn't affect it in
that
any
didn't change
way.
at all either.
No.
But I
Mary,
also tried to resize it after. So it was resized before, it was resized after, same results.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but can you right click and rotate?
No, there's no option to rotate, Joe.
The
You tell me if
dimensions
you
are
see
in, the dimensions are in reverse. You have the width is 11 and the height is 8.5, and I think it should be.
Because it's, if you look at the background, that's because it was set up as landscape, but my pages are PowerPoints that are landscape set up, but there's no rotate option here that I saw, Joe. Do you see anything? I mean, I see alt text, but that's
So-
typing.
So how did you, I have no idea what we're doing. Are you trying to import a PowerPoint to your OneNote?
A PDF. It was originally a PowerPoint, so it was more like a landscape setup. I saved it as a PDF and I use it in class like that in Edge. So this is nicer for lots of reasons, in terms of how I interface with Blackboard and opening everything every day. But when I tried to import that PDF that was originally a PowerPoint, this is how it came in. And I resized the page as landscape first and after. I did it 2 different times.
What if we don't resize the page, Deborah? Go click on
I
add a
didn't the
page.
first time. I didn't. This first time I did it like this and I didn't resize, but I'll do another one if you want.
Yeah, click on the plus.
Let me try something here.
Can you rotate a screenshot?
You can.
I'm going to do the same
She's
thing.
just- Yeah, so she didn't resize anything
I didn't
here.
do anything. I just imported it. And now it's going
Right.
to come in sideways again because it's how I did it originally.
She's really good at importing now.
Yeah, but why do you import when you can just print?
That's what she did. She printed it. She did
I
it.
did the insert, print file printout.
Yeah.
And Deborah, your original, if you just open up the PDF document,
Yes.
Can I?
open
I-
up the PDF document, not in OneNote, does it pull open rotated like that, I wonder?
No, it's normal. I use it every single day of my life. I mean,
So I'm
hang on.
stealing control for a second.
Oh,
I have to
boy.
walk around.
Take control. You want me to show you? Here, I'll just pull up.
No,
anything.
no, I don't want you to show me. I want you
All
to.
right, all right, all right. But if I open it, it opens in Pro, normal. Normal. So Joe, I'm leaving my computer alone.
Good, because I'm now displaying. So you and I are doing something similar. I accidentally clicked on GeoGebra and now it won't go
You want me
away.
to stop my share, Joe?
No, I already stopped your share.
He
No,
took
you-
control
I
again.
don't see your screen.
Are you in Zoom?
I noticed that there was a thing over to the side that it was
Hang on, I gotta get there.
Web Screen.
auto size of paper.
Yeah, we
Were
did
you
that.
able to change that over to landscape?
We did.
It's
So
because it said portrait on it. That's why I was asking.
We did it all 3 ways.
I'm going to try this something different. So whether it's a Word, a PDF or a Word document, it shouldn't really matter. But Deb, you could probably start with the same PowerPoint as what you already saved as a PDF, right? You're
I do
using
have the
something-
PowerPoints.
You're using something from Pearson, from what I can tell.
Yes, I do
So
have them as
I'm-
the PowerPoints I created.
So what you can do, I just tried this really quickly, and it worked totally fine. If you instead start from the PowerPoint, click File, Print, or Control P, and then change your printer to OneNote
Oh,
and hit Print. So you're starting, instead of starting in OneNote and importing what you want, start with what you want and then print it to
And
OneNote.
Export it essentially to OneNote. Can I do that from a PDF as well?
and then,
Yep,
but
you-
look
Because
at
they're all
what,
PDFs right now. I mean, that's where I know where they are. The PowerPoints are in another place. I'd have to figure out where they are.
Mary, you were gonna say something?
I was gonna say, I wanted her to see that screen you had because you'll be like, where does it go in OneNote? Well, you get to direct where it goes in OneNote on your tab and the page and whatnot.
Yep. And now my PowerPoints are all here. As I
Oriented.
think the issue though that I'm not addressing is that, did you try and set the size of the page?
Did.
Yeah, it's setting it in the background. It's ignoring it. It's just doing everything sideways. I have no idea why. Tried
Okay,
it
so
3 different ways.
this is how I've been doing stuff as far as
Okay.
all my notes.
I'll try that. If it doesn't work, I'm getting back to you, Joe.
Okay.
It's just very interesting that that happened because I saved today's PowerPoint as a PDF, which is like what you had, Deborah, is that you have your stuff as PDFs.
Mhm.
And then I just did the insert the file printout from the PDF.
It's me.
Yours came in
My
oriented
middle
correct.
name
I think actually maybe I just did.
You just did PDF.
I'm wondering though, now I'm wondering if I may have just imported from the PowerPoint
Like Joe
instead of
just
from the
did.
PDF.
That's what Joe just did.
I'll try that.
No, but he printed from, so when I opened mine up, instead of doing the insert the printout, instead of inserting a printout of the PDF, I inserted a printout of the PowerPoint. And I'm wondering if that might have been the difference. I'm just playing around with it on my other device here, but this is part of what we wanted to have as the follow-up to the breakout sessions too today. So I'm glad that this got brought up because we wanted to talk about what things have worked, what things didn't work that you've tried since our last session. So I'm just pulling this open here from my printout of my PDF. I'm going to see how, that's the issue. I figured it out. Okay. So
Yes.
I figured it out for you, Deborah. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen because I'll show you here what we've got. So when I inserted today's PowerPoint, when I did the file printout, you want to make sure that you're opening from here so that it comes in that correct orientation. If you pull in the PDF of your PowerPoint, it will flip it on you. But if you import the actual PowerPoint, it will not.
Okay.
Okay, so I just did it on my slide here. It's just not syncing for some reason. Oh, wait.
You can do it either way. You can do what Joe did from the actual.
Exactly. You've got options. Exactly. So
Deborah, you just have to find
Can I see
out.
that again, please?
yeah, absolutely. Let me go into a new part here, just so everybody can see what I was doing. If you, on your main tab, it's usually on the home screen. If you do insert, file printout, this is method 1 of how to do this. And I'm just going to pull today's stuff. So I converted our PowerPoint into a PDF, and that's what everybody has access to. And that's this document here. So this first way I'm going to show is inserting as a PDF. And we'll see we're going to have the same issue that Deborah had. And I haven't changed the size of the paper or anything like that, but.
Well, we did change the size of the paper. We did letter and we did portrait.
Right, right. And I just leave mine as it goes, but it's coming, I promise. And oh, there's it's sideways issue.
Weird. You can't rotate it.
Right. But if you instead, actually I did the same thing on this one. So that's that same way. So I'm just going to undo. If instead you do a file printout of your original PowerPoint.
It was the second file.
What?
I think you're in quick access. It was the second file, it looked like. All the way up top.
Yep. Okay. It opened it differently than it did the last time. My other one was organized last time. So this is inserting the actual PowerPoint. And notice it comes in correctly. Now I have my setup set up so that if it's a longer document, it opens it into each page separately. If you want it to be more set up like this one where it's just a running file, it's a simple change in your file options. In advanced, way down at the bottom, when you insert these printouts, I always have mine insert the long printouts on multiple pages. And the reason I do that is so that when I'm teaching, if I import my entire note packet at once. And so for the students, when they're going to figure out notes, or for me, when I want to figure out where I left off in a 40-page document, I want to not have to scroll through everything. So if I insert those printouts on multiple pages, then it does give me that option to say, oh, this is section M.1. And then I know I'm just clicking on that for the day. So
Nancy,
that is an option.
That answers your question with that. If you wanted to import the textbook that you have access to, that kind of would be a good, I think, just so you can skip around easier.
Yeah, I find it easier to skip around instead of this, and you got to scroll through and where did I leave off? And
so I'm going to do, hold on, Debbie, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to steal the screen again. So I know this was geared towards those teaching Quantway and Statway. It doesn't necessarily have to be that though, but just another option here to try and keep them broken apart as well. I just clicked on anyone randomly. What I like to do, again, is I don't want to download and do all this other stuff. If you hit print from anywhere, again, I just wanted to show that print to OneNote option. you can print and instead choose a different destination. You're all seeing my screen, correct?
Yeah,
Correct?
but go slow when you get to the, like, pick what page it's going to in your OneNote, Joe.
Will do.
My
So
group didn't see
just
that.
choose the destination to OneNote.
Mhm.
And then what I can do as far as breaking it into different subsections, if you wanted to, it might take a little bit more work ahead of time, but you can change the page range. So you only want to print pages 4 through 7 or whatever. So you can break it apart chapter by chapter or subsection by subsection and keep them separate, but have a couple of different pages in the same area. It's another option to do that. So I'll print real quick, and then I just have to change my sharing because I have 2 different devices going right now. Stop sharing, new share, screen 1. So now, hang on, did I do that right? No, I did not. Share, sorry. So now this is what Mary was asking me to slow down for. When you print it from another device or another app to OneNote, you get to select the location where you actually want it to go. You're not supposed to be seeing my password. Personal stuff. So you can choose where you want to. So for instance, if I'm teaching my QuantWay course, which is 012 at Nassau, I can choose module 1 and I can select where to put it within module 1. So you can break it apart that way.
Again,
Nice
what you
set of
only do
options.
that, you only have to do that one time for the notebooks, and then you can copy the entire notebook, right? Semester to semester to semester. And for something like QuantWay, it's a huge time saver to be able to just, and especially, and if you forget, now Joe has the little, nifty trick of getting rid of the annotations and copying the original notebook again too, which is fantastic.
Here's a question.
Good, Deb.
If you do, as you just did, Joe, where you inserted maybe 3 or 4 pages as a single page,
Mhm.
can you separate them later if you want to edit something, a single page out? Or you have to edit the whole thing?
Let me go to a non-personal notebook real
Insert
quick.
something in between.
Yep. I'll go into my QuantWay course, and I will share my screen. Share screen. Go. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. These QuantWay lessons are like 15 to 20, sometimes longer pages than that. So the one thing is that these are just basically little, I don't know, pictures, photos. So you can move them however you want to, but because there's so many of them, if you wanted to space them out more, you're gonna have to space out everything below it. There is a workaround in that you can select everything. So if you hold Shift and the down button, I can select everything below, let's say the 3rd page. And then I can click and drag all of them down. And you'll see that as I'm moving all of the documents. Bless you. Up to a certain range of pages here. So you'll see that there's a big gap between page 4 and page 5 because I selected everything below page 4.
But you can't put them so that they're now paginated on the, you know how like Aaron had it, so each page was its individual page clickable. You can't undo that once you imported it this way, right?
I don't know. I've never actually messed around with this.
Advanced.
Why is this frozen?
Oh, insert. Okay.
Oh, try the long. Yeah,
I
but I think that would be after it happened, right?
No, I think I turned this off because I was getting frustrated that when I was printing my QuantWay pages, it was printing page by page for the QuantWay files. Because they're 20 something PDF pages in a row, it was going to page 1 on a separate notebook. So I think I chose to do it this way. I think if I click this, it would then print it the way that you guys are talking about.
Yes, and I just tried it. So as long as that setting is set for your OneNote, when you do either method, either the insert the printout or opening up the file and doing print and choosing the printer to OneNote, if you have that selected to print the long printouts on separate pages, it will do that automatically. I just tried it on mine. So it's nice, you don't have to do it one way or the other. If you'd like to do the insert the printout, or from the document you created, print it to OneNote. If you want them on those separate pages, as long as that option is set up in your OneNote, it will do that for you.
Awesome.
Which is nice.
So just to clarify, Joe, when you did what you're doing by shortening the pages, you just clicking it as it coming in as one long page, because you know you're going to teach it in one lesson.
Exactly.
So you said, so you made each page shorter, and you got rid of all the extra space that was on the bottom, the white?
No, not necessarily.
No, because
I
it
just
looked like
zoomed out.
it would look like there was no writing on it. Like, it looked like most of
I
the,
just zoomed out.
oh,
So it still has all the
no, oh, okay.
headers and footers and page numbers and all that stuff here.
All right. So it did, but it just looked like you got rid of some of the extra space too, but I guess not. Okay.
It depends on the lesson, I guess.
So it came in as one page.
Well, it came in as one scrollable
Yes.
selection of pages.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That is helpful.
So who learned something?
The best thing to do is when you have a, like somebody on your campus, like a Joe or an Aaron, and the more people on your campus that use it, you learn more and more tricks. Like every semester I learn something new, which is, like I learned to put those videos in, which is big for students because then it doesn't link out to another window, basically. It's just all embedded right there. It's nice.
Definitely.
Well, and for me, it was figuring out how I could have my students access all of their notes with me not having to do an extra work, to figure out creating that sharing link to post in my learning management system. What a huge time saver. And I know that I've shared that out to people. But again, this is why we do these sessions and we have these connections with people, because everybody plays around with their different things for their different courses. And it's great because we're constantly learning from each other. Even though Joe and Mary and I might seem like the OneNote experts at this point to some of you, we still learn from everybody that's here too. Just like I learn stuff from my students all the time. So that's great. Mary, question?
No, it's just a comment building on what you said. And since we're all stuck with teaching from home and in COVID, we're not seeing each other. And so these types of things are helpful, even if we learn one thing. And also being able to see some faces. Like, I mean, I'm at home and my students are icons and I am craving just seeing other faces. So thank you so much, all of you.
It's a good Friday.
Thank you.
It is. And like we said, we hope that everybody takes some time to continue playing with this. It's a forever learning process. And to emphasize again, it's not only in time of COVID. This OneNote and all of these tools that you've started playing around with are awesome things to just be able to use once you're back in your normal classroom, and so many great things that you can continue to play around with and use.
I do also want to say that I do use the class notebook every day in school. So if any of you are learning that or playing around, feel free to email me or message me or want to Zoom with me. We have to use it at TC3. So, and that's our primary source of working now. We're not allowed to use Zoom. We use Microsoft Teams. Zoom does not do the closed captioning, and our school is not closed captioning,
Yeah, closed captioning.
The live captioning.
Live captioning.
Live captioning.
Live cap. Yeah, underneath where.
Yeah.
So so we're not even allowed to have student meetings in Zoom. So everything is Teams. So if anybody has questions, feel free to contact me.
Mary, can you put your email in the chat for everybody, just in case they want to contact you? And you said that's for the class notebook?
Yeah. I don't I'm learning more and more about it every day, and my colleagues also. We just really work together, and we've started to get pretty good at it. And what we don't know, we find out.
Absolutely.
Mary, it would be awesome if, and I know the NISMATIC program is already put together, but that could be a good share around something we do with NISMATIC.
And honestly, if that would be something for NISMATIC that you'd be interested in presenting, I'm sure that we could work with.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, why don't you just put something together and then we'll add it to the fall conference live document that we created as a resource, an ongoing resource.
He has all the time in the world.
Yeah, our school is required. We are like redoing half of our math department right now. We're all just.
So my concern was, and we were talking about this in our breakout room, for Nassau Community College, our faculty email address is housed by Microsoft, and our student email addresses are housed by Google. So it's two completely separate logins, and I have not been able to get them to jive with OneDrive in any way, shape, or form. So I'm thinking that might be a hindrance for some colleges, depending on how their student accounts are set up.
Yeah, and that could be, but I'm hopeful that we can keep continuing these conversations. And I know Dan and Mark are always willing to keep these conversations going and look for what sessions the faculty are looking for. And so I'm so glad that we had so many of you that were able to attend with us today. And just to kind of finish up our wrap up, I know it's Friday afternoon and everybody's been spending some time with us. So again, please, please, please keep sending us ideas. What else do you want to know? We can help out and continue that conversation. And just so you guys have it, and I had to put this in because of our Quantway, Statway, we have to remember the power of yet. You might not be an expert at OneNote yet, but you'll get there. And so you've got our info there again as well for today.
Thank you. Thanks. This was great.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on a Friday afternoon. It's great, like you said, to see people. It's really nice to see some faces, and I'm lucky enough to be, well, I don't know about that, but I have to teach at least one class with a face-to-face component on campus. So I do get to see some of my colleagues, and it is nice. And it is nice to have some sense of normalcy with having some students in front of me. So
thank you. I have to leave, and I really appreciate learning about this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks again, everybody, for coming.
Happy Chinese New Year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Valentine's Day present.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.